Good evening, everyone. We begin the ReidOut tonight with the concept of safe spaces, which the Merriam-Webster dictionary defines as spaces intended to be free of bias, conflict, criticism, or potentially threatening actions, ideas, or conversations, like when college campuses create safe spaces for marginalized groups like sexual assault survivors, people of color, transgender students, etc. But for many on the right, the idea is something more threatening. Spaces online and in real life where conservatives feel they get shut down for voicing unpopular views and where political correctness and wokeness force them to walk on pins and needles or just keep quiet for fear of getting canceled. To put it mildly, they don't like safe spaces. Okay, they really, really hate them. But what's happened on the right, and specifically inside the Republican Party in the last couple decades, is that their sense of victimhood and, frankly, fear and rage at an increasingly diverse country where they aren't automatically at the center of everything, where other communities have gotten a chance to be focused on by Hollywood and books and in the culture, and have elected political leaders who look like them. Think President Obama, Kamala Harris, and the guy who's been recruited onto the bad list for being associated with both of them, old Joe Biden. Their anger has frankly corroded into something more like hate. To the point where they, even as a minority, only about 30% of Americans are Republicans, are openly flaunting the idea that because they're not happy in and don't feel affirmed by a more socially liberal, modern, multicultural, and yes, more secular America, that there should be no safe spaces. If they have anything to do with it, there will be no place in this country where any of us should feel safe. That's our punishment. We have a political party that's selling demographic panic and rage and alienation, a really dangerous combination, saying basically that Democrats should feel afraid. Just take a look at the way some Republicans are advertising their political campaigns these days.
If Joe Biden keeps shipping illegal immigrants into our states, we all gonna have to learn Spanish. My message to Biden, no way, Jose.
Democrats decry walls from within their own heavily guarded razor wire wall. Democrats don't want to protect you because they don't care about you. Madam Speaker, tear down this wall.
You don't know who's got what in their purse. Lipstick, an iPhone, or maybe a little Smith & Wesson 38.
In 2022, I'm going to blow away the Democrat socialist agenda.
They're saying immigrants should feel afraid and that, quote unquote, socialists should feel afraid. And since all Democrats are supposedly socialists, well, too many immigrants are coming here. Build a wall to keep them out. Separate them from their kids. Women are having abortions and not helping grow the domestic population of infants. We'll just pass laws to make them give birth. Rape, incest, we don't care. You're going to do it, and anyone who helps you should fear getting sued. They're teaching history that makes me mad. Ban the books. Make teachers too afraid to teach what I don't like. They make me wear a mask or get vaccinated against COVID. Nope, no one tells me what to do. I'm going to get in your face and threaten you. I don't care if another million people die. Too many of them are voting for socialist policies like health care. How about a couple of armed poll watchers follow you to your car or make you stand in line with no water and then question your registration? Their so-called votes force Trump out of office. Let's storm the Capitol. Make even the cops fear us. We'll bring a noose. Now, I wish this was hyperbole, but these are actually the themes of the Republican Party today. A political party whose mantra is there is no safe space anywhere. Definitely not online, where anger and alienation and fear just feast on places like 4chan and 8chan. And they know it. And Rupert Murdoch's marionettes are pulling those themes right onto their primetime shows. Republicans have literally made bringing Trump and his dangerous paranoid style back onto Twitter into a political rallying cry. And okay, set aside ideological or emotional safety. We're not allowed to feel physically safe anywhere in America, thanks to Republicans' ironclad partnership with the blood-soaked NRA, which long ago quit the gun safety business and has been working for decades to ensure that the most lethal arms get into as many alienated 18 and 19-year-old incel hands as possible so that we can't feel safe at Walmart, at the supermarket, at Bible study or church service, at the salon, at the hospital, if God forbid some guy gets mad at his doctor for not giving him opioids, at a nightclub, at a concert, even at a funeral, or at school, whether you're in high school or you're 10 and in the 4th grade. In America, and only in America, you are literally rolling the dice every time you leave your house or drop off your kids at school. And you just have to pray that today is not your day or their day to meet that angry, alienated American man with an AR-15. This weekend alone, we had a greater number of mass shooting deaths in the U.S. than last week's three-day weekend, when 17 were killed and more than 70 were injured in mass shootings across the country. Today, multiple Democratic members of Congress attended a rally student activists held at the Capitol to call for action. Meanwhile, the other political party refuses to do anything to solve the problem of gun violence. And don't let anybody tell you that we couldn't solve it. That is just not true. But Republicans want you to just get used to feeling this way. Unsafe. Everywhere. All the time. Maybe in exchange for a few tax cuts that honestly don't get to you anyway, because they're really for rich people. Or so you can say, ha, I don't have to use the pronouns. Victory. Also that they can have more power, which, by the way, they're going to use to give more rich people more stuff and to take more stuff from regular people like you, while you hold your breath every time you go to a store or drop off your kids at school. That's the bargain. Are you okay with that? Joining me now is Shannon Watts, founder of Moms Demand Action, and Tim Miller, writer at large for The Bulwark and author of the upcoming book, Why We Did It, a travel log from the Republican road to hell. Well, be a little more blunt with those titles, Tim. I do want to start with you, though, Shannon, because you are coming not long from a rally. And, you know, I can remember the Take Back the Streets rallies. Like, that was the thing where they were like, women should not feel unsafe outside at night. We're going to take back the streets and not be afraid. That's like a quaint older period now, because there is no street you can take back. We're just not safe anywhere. And I wonder, what was the message at the rally? And in your mind, is there an argument to be made that the Republicans, are essentially saying what you're doing is wrong? Like, people shouldn't feel safe anywhere. They should actually be subjected to gun violence everywhere.
So our message is to senators, don't look away. We know there's about a 4-day window when people start to lose interest. And senators, we even saw a GOP memo come out that said, don't worry, this moment will be over soon. It is up to us if this moment is over soon, and we will not let it be. And that's why we've sent 700,000 messages to our senators. We had 350 events in all 50 states over the weekend. I was at airports along with volunteers at dozens of other airports across the country, telling senators as they landed, don't look away. And then Students Demand Action. We're right in front of the Capitol today. We'll be back on Wednesday. Again, we are not going to let up until there is a vote. And look, it can't be either or. It's got to be some of both. We have to see compromise. And for too long, it's been neither, right? We haven't seen anything happen. But also, if nothing happens, there has to be hell to pay. And again, it's on us to make that happen.
Right. I mean, Tim, this is the reality. 4 in 10 Republicans say, you know what? Having to worry about getting shot when you go to the store or church or Bible study, that's just a part of freedom. And it's a price that's worth paying. That's 4 in 10 Republicans think that. You know, scarcely any Democrats and independent small numbers think that. But that's what you're fighting. You're fighting your former political party or your political party. I'm not even sure if you're still a Republican anymore. That essentially says that you should feel unsafe everywhere, because that's the price of me getting to play with my AR-15s on the weekend.
Hey, Joy. Former. I bailed right before that insurrection, so that was pretty good timing on my part, I guess. I just do want to say real quick, since I'm on with Shannon, that just how much I admire her for getting into the arena. I think there's a lot of people who are so frustrated right now with this, and it's easy to just throw it up your hands. And so I'm happy to be on with her. But look, Joy, I think that my analysis of the Republican politicians is a little bit different on this, because I think that there's a lot of issues where they are literally scared of their own base. And, you know, when it comes to Trump, when it comes to another number of these issues, they don't believe any better, and they're scared of their own. They're scared of their own voters that might throw them out in a primary if they say one bad thing about Donald Trump. And so they live in fear of anything that they tweet or any, time they work with a Democrat or are seen with a Democrat. That's going to hurt them politically. The weird thing about on this gun issue is that actually we've seen in practice that you can do practical gun reform in red states, and the Republican voters don't react negatively to the politicians. In Florida, in Ron DeSantis' Florida, Rick Scott was the governor, signed a bill, red flag laws, moving the age to get an assault rifle 18 to 21. That's not going to solve every one of these shootings, and that's not going to get to your broader issue, Joy. But boy, that might have saved those kids in Uvalde. And if we cannot do that nationally, if these Republicans in the Senate cannot just do two simple things like that and work with Chris Murphy and the Democrats who are acting in good faith in a practical way, then I don't think that we can put this on Republican voters. This is on the cowardice of the men and women that are serving in the Senate if they can't come to that deal. And I'm sure that Shannon and her group and other people would want more, but that is a reasonable deal that we saw in Florida after Parkland that Republicans signed, and that the Republican governor who signed it then got promoted. He got elected to the Senate. So there's no political reason not to do it.